Let's have a look at the type tool and the kind of things we can create. Find the type tool on the left side tool set. Just click on the artboard and begin. Now, depending on what edition you have, you may get a placeholder text. Right, we now have some basic information to play with. R and R. It's pretty small, isn't it? Okay, so now there's a variety of ways we can play with size of the type. The first thing we could do is change maybe the point size. To do that, simply go to the selection tool and then go to type. I've selected the maximum default, but of course we could go much larger. I'm typing in 200. We can make it larger by changing its point size, but we can also make it larger by going to the corner of the bounding box. Hold the shift key. You must always hold the shift key to keep the typeface's proportions, and click and drag while holding the shift key, and now we can change the scale one other way. A third way is going to the transform tool, making sure that the link is on. Either click into the height or width and make the type larger or smaller incrementally or in big chunks by holding down the shift key, and of course click on the up arrow or down arrow on the keyboard. While we're having a look at the bounding box, the other thing you can do with the bounding box is rotate your type. Just go to the corner of it and just do a free rotation if you like, just by clicking and dragging your mouse as you hold down the double-ended arrow. Another way of doing it would be to hold the shift key, and the shift key constrains the angles that you rotate. So it will go to 45, and then we'll go to 90. Let's now have a look at how to select a typeface or a font. We can go to the top here. There's a range of fonts. If you know what font you want to play with, you can just type it in. I might just try, let's have a look, Helvetica. And a whole range of Helvetica options. The whole family comes up, and you'll notice how you get a preview as you scroll over each of the options. I'm just going to go with Helvetica Regular. Another way of selecting a font is by going to the main menu on the very, very top. Go to Type, Font. You can see all the fonts at your disposal and make a selection, and you get a little sample as well on the side. Now, the whole point of this exercise is to show you what you can do with type. Now, to treat it like a shape, there's a couple of things we have to learn. So firstly, we have to convert the typeface or the font to a regular shape that it's editable in the very same ways as any other shape can be edited within Illustrator. So therefore, we need to convert these or expand these fonts. And there's two ways of doing this. We can either go to Object, Expand, or we can go to Type, Create Outlines. Once we've ungrouped it, and then click off, then click back on, we have now in fact created a shape, like any other shape. You'll notice all the anchors at the appropriate points to create the curves and straight lines. And though I said earlier that we should never deform a typeface, if there's any sin within design, this is the one. However, you could use a typeface as a beginning point that you'll modify for your own ends, and that's what we will be doing. So, because it's just like any other letter, any other shape now, we can just move it around and treat it like a shape and do all the kinds of things that we would normally do to shapes, like using Pathfinder, combining shapes together, or deleting sections of the shape. So I'm just going to go Command-C, Command-V because I'd like a couple of these to show you what we can do. Why don't I just select something different for the front and different for the back? There's any number of ways we can play with these shapes. So they're aligned and they're overlapping. What we can do is select both of these shapes. Then now they're selected, we can go to Shape Builder, and we can do any number of things. We can actually create individual shapes within it. So for example, click here and there to create 2 new shapes, then select each of these shapes in turn and recolor them. I can use the eyedropper just to copy that new color from one area to another. I'll trial a few more ideas using the Shape Builder tool, and just pay close attention to the things we can do with it. Now, not only can you create individual shapes, you can actually extend one shape into the other by simply dragging from one highlighted area into another highlighted area, like so. Done. I'll now use the pencil tool to create a couple of shapes using overlapping lines. And then I'll combine it with the R form. I'll also be using the Pathfinder tool to unite the leaves to the R form. It's time now to look at the clipping mask, which is basically a tool that will help you to remove any part of the design which is really unnecessary, given that it will fall outside the format of a circle. So let's just create a circle and make sure that you are on the same layer or a layer above, and holding the Shift key to construct proportions of your circle, and just choose the default setting for the fill and stroke. Position your circle, make it to the right size. So whatever's inside of that circle will be kept and everything outside will be omitted. Now for this particular exercise to work, you need to have the circle on the very, very top of all the other shapes. It can be on a layer on top, or it can be on the same layer, but making sure it's arranged so as it's on the very, very top of all the other shapes. Select all your shapes, then right click, select Make Clipping Mask. I'll go back one step for you. Make a copy of that circle, Command C, Command V, put it to the side, and bring along, let's go through it again, make a clipping mask. Now you can take that circle, put it back, align it, select the default stroke and fill, and then remove the stroke, and then adjust the color for the fill. Now we need to arrange the green shape at the back of all the other shapes. So what you do is you go to Object, Arrange, Send to Back. Ooh, maybe green isn't the right color for it, but you know, you get the idea, yeah? Nice. Ooh, okay. So that's using the clipping mask. You can change your mind, of course, with what you've cropped out. So you can go back, select what you've clipped, and right click and go Release Clipping Mask. And then you can go back and kind of rearrange things as you wish.